The Zavix Port. This is actually a console I knew about back in 2004 when it released. I almost bought one back then, but being a student with no money and this never actually being sold in Australia kind of stopped me from doing that. But now that I'm an adult with no spare time, I get to finally own one. I really didn't know what version this one was when I ordered it, but it turns out it's an Irish release. This launched in Ireland in 2007. It was distributed there by a company called Opal Bay, which has very little information online, but I managed to find out that they were founded just a few months before the Irish launched this console. They might not have ever done anything else. This Zav Ireland website is also long gone, and even Wayback Machine doesn't recognise that it ever existed. Being an Irish console is also kind of weird because that means it's a PAL version, and I really thought that the PAL version was branded differently. I can't find any reference to a PAL version of the Zavix branded one, so if you can fill me in on that part of the story, I'd love you to leave a comment. So this is a sports-based console for the most part. I love how on the back here it's got pictures of all the different activities that the games have, and then they just put money there, and then they run out of, there's nothing left. Let's have a look inside. It mentioned on the box that it has serial number stickers, and it does. Does that mean the console hasn't got a serial number and they just expect you to stick your own stickers onto it? The console itself is very small, very light, and there's a reason for that, which I'll get to. Yeah, look, there's no serial number on the back at all. This is the space where you put your own serial number sticker. So these consoles didn't have a factory serial number. That was added on by the user. That's really weird. And look at that. We've got a cancel button, some directions, enter, reset, power. There's an infrared receiver on the front. On the back, we've got AV out, power in, and AV in. This is a strange feature that I've never seen on a game console before. You can connect your DVD player or whatever to the back of the Zavix port, and then you don't have to use two AV ports on your TV. There's also an expansion jack on the side. I don't know what that connector is. That's a weird one. This console does not come with controllers, and there's a reason for that. All of the games are motion control games. Almost all of them are sports games. And this was 2 years before the North American release of the Wii. Every game for this system comes with its own controllers. We're going to be playing with tennis today because it's the only game I've got. Aside from the paper... Oh, what's that? Place the strap around your wrist and tighten. Never remove during play. Well, the Wii said the same thing. People still smash TVs. These actually feel kind of okay as far as quality. The handle's very plasticky, but it could definitely be worse. It's got a button here. The batteries go in the bottom. I hope there are no batteries in here. No batteries, thankfully. Batteries left in old devices are terrible. They always leak and cause heaps of damage. I just discovered something I find really interesting. First of all, these screws are here so that kids can't take the batteries out and swallow them. But something I haven't seen before on this type of screw is that they're spring-loaded, so that once it's undone, it pops out so far and then it just stops. You never lose the screw and it's obvious whether it's undone or not. Anyway, batteries go in the handle. Ah! That only just grabs on there. The screw is quite necessary on these particular controllers. Let's have a look at the game cartridge. It's got a really weird connector on the bottom. There's contacts in there, which they don't look heaps clean. Ireland and other countries, patents pending. So even the game is the Irish version. The company that made this console was called SSD Company Limited. They were actually founded by an ex-employee of Nintendo, and apparently some other ex-Nintendo employees worked on it too. I'm not entirely sure how this cartridge goes in. Yeah, wow. I know that this pushes down somehow. Ah, that's it. It slides. That is the strangest cartridge mechanism I have ever seen. You put the cartridge flat on top and slide it down. And then you're in. That's it. What a strange unit. All right. I have no idea if this actually works. Let's give it a go. Wow, look at that. Zavix Sports. Better put the strap around my wrist. We're gonna play Zavix Tennis. How do I do? Oh, I can choose. Oh, okay. If I hit up or down, change. I want to change because I want to play around with these menus a bit more. Okay. I can be a male. I wish I was 20. I wish I was 65 kilos. Okay. Hey, Australia. It knows. Push the button to toss ball. Yeah. I missed. Wrong. 15. Fault. 202 kilometers an hour. I'm wondering if I'm too close to the console. What if I go really far back? You can't see me anymore. You're gonna have to trust that I'm still playing. I can't return the ball. Hey, I hit it back. Yeah. Okay, so it's more of a depth perception problem. You can't tell when you're meant to hit the ball. You just sort of guess. It's hard. It's really hard. I feel like I should be running from side to side, and I can't. It has these infrared LEDs in here, and I'm wondering if they're working properly. Let's see what the user's guide says. Right, so the Zavix port's supposed to be on top of your TV. Do not point the remote control of a TV at the Zavix port. Doing so might cause it to malfunction, but put the Zavix port on your TV where you're going to point the remote. Now, I know what that means. The Zavix port uses infrared communication with the controllers. So if you're playing and you use a TV remote at the same time, they'll interfere and neither one will work properly. This makes it sound like you're going to destroy your Zavix port by pointing a TV remote at it at any time. The tennis package comes with more serial numbers. I didn't get those. I got ripped off. I didn't get my serial number stickers. Aside from telling me, oh, what did I find? A warranty card. Oh, there's my serial numbers. All right, I take it back. I didn't get ripped off. I've got my Zavix tennis serial number stickers. Anyway, I've looked through this book and it seems like I don't know what the sensors are supposed to be for. It doesn't really say that it will track your position or anything. To make it easier to select things, I'm going to use the buttons on the front here. Training games. I think that's what we need. Target challenge. Let's go with that. It's not very sensitive, I have to say, and I have to flick it quite hard to make it move. Yeah, nice. I'm doing a lot of missing. They all have silly names. Hardcortez, Slamvina, Forehandarka, Be Lovely. All right, I've brought this right to the edge of my desk. I'm standing back now. This should be ideal for playing this game. It's not ideal. It's just what happens every time. It happens every time. I don't know what to do differently. I'm feeling like this is not really doing what I'm trying to get it to do. Yay! I didn't fluke that at all. I don't know is the answer. I don't know if I'm doing something wrong or if it's just not very good or if it's actually broken. I'm gonna try the other racket actually. Flicking the racket in any direction cycles in the same direction, so I feel like it's probably not an accelerometer in there. It's just some kind of motion switch that triggers whether it's on or off when you flick the racket. Apparently I can run the net. Wow, that's some smooth running. I'm winning this time. This is good. Even though I haven't actually hit it by running the net, it seems to be helping me somehow. I don't know if running the net makes the opponent miss or something. I can't hit it over there because my Drum Mania machine's in the way. I think we are done with playing tennis. I just want to pull it apart and see what's inside now. First of all, what happens when you turn it on with no game? Absolutely nothing. And I'm not surprised because I know how this thing works. Come apart, please. Oh, there's spring-loaded things coming apart. Oh. Okay, hopefully that goes back together, okay. This bottom piece is just the spring mechanism. That's all that is. That is the weirdest, it's such a weird cartridge mechanism. And the console has a huge hole in it now. Cartridge slot down in here, and two little tiny motherboards. This has some real cheap, nasty soldering in it. This looks awful, really bad, with heaps of flux left over and everything. This thing was really cheaply made. Okay, let's get these boards out, if we can. This whole PCB is just ports and a tiny bit of a power supply. This yellow guy here is a fuse. This is a bridge rectifier. It turns AC into DC. And then over here, this is just going to be generating you probably 5 volts or 3.3. So literally just ports and power conditioning. And the other one, it's got factory hot glue. Look at that. That's a sign of quality. I love it. It's perfect. I'm going to have to try and take these screws out past the board. This is how this was assembled. It's such a nightmare thing to do. Is that enough? Can I just flex it? Yeah, that's enough. Excellent. Oh, okay, so I didn't have to take out that piece. It's just this end piece. Still a terrible design. This board has a bit more on it, but still no real logic stuff. Oh, wow. I thought the LEDs on this were for spatial positioning, but if they were, then this would be a camera, but it isn't. This is the same kind of infrared pickup that a TV remote uses. It doesn't know what direction things are pointing at it from. So this is transmitting its button presses and movements and stuff with a stream of data shot out of these LEDs and just received by this like a TV remote, which is why you're not allowed to point a TV remote at it while it's being used. So me trying to be in all different positions connections in the room to get this thing to work was completely useless. So, okay, I hate that, but moving on. There's not enough in here for a game console. In fact, there's only 2 little ICs here, and they're just normal digital logic devices. They don't have any computing power by themselves. And the reason why there's nothing in this console that actually runs it is because it's got the CPU and RAM and everything inside the cartridge, which means every time you're buying a game, you're pretty much buying a whole console except for the connections to it. In some ways, this idea sounds great. They can keep updating the hardware. A new game can come out and all of a sudden it's like a new console. It's got more system specs. It's got better graphics. It could have a completely different CPU architecture. And in fact, they did use a couple of different CPU architectures in this. So until TV standards change so much that you can't use these AV ports anymore like they have now, you could theoretically keep having the newest games. However, it doesn't usually work that way. It means that you're trying to fit a whole computer system in a cartridge this size. This is a 6th generation console, right? The Xbox, the PS2, and the GameCube were all out at this time. Can you imagine if you had to buy a new PS2 every time you wanted to play a new PS2 game? It would be astronomically expensive, right? So to keep the price down, you've got to go with obsolete hardware. Most of these games run on 6502 architecture, which is the same thing the NES used, just running a bit faster on these. A couple of the games boasted an upgraded chip which had a 16-bit CPU similar to the one in a Super Nintendo. This was in 2004 and this one in 2007. Using older hardware does mean you can streamline your programming and stuff because everything's known about it, but they're never going to be able to compete with mainstream consoles. I'm really hesitant to break into this, I have to be honest. Oh, I'm winning. Hey, check that out, that's actually working. I'm gonna be devastated if this breaks. Yeah, I got it out. It didn't break. Hopefully this gains access to more than just the label. It does. Yeah, the screws are here. The label's stuck over the screws. I thought this label wouldn't be stuck down. Oh, it's only just barely stuck down. Okay, maybe I can cope with this. It's like a Post-it note. It's stuck right along this edge and that's it. Come on. Yes, all right. The double-sided tape is free and I haven't damaged anything. And wow, there's nothing in here. Okay, plastic spacer thingies. Look at that. Oh, the PCB's blue. Wow. These things, I swear, these are hand assembled. There are fingerprints all over this. They're hand soldered. I'm not entirely sure what to expect in here. I believe they used some custom chip, which includes the 6502, some RAM, and a bunch of that sort of stuff. I can't give you the specs of it, because each game has different specs, which is strange. Oh, yeah, okay. So it's these blob chips. This one, just by this footprint, I can tell this is the game ROM because this PCB's been designed so a flash ROM could fit there if necessary. And this is the everything else. This chip here, I didn't really expect to see in here. This is a serial EEPROM, which is a tiny little bit of storage space. It's just 1 kilobyte. I did read that these are region locked, so perhaps that has something to do with the region locking. It may also have nothing to do with the region locking. So I guess it does a thing. Now let's, just for fun, run this naked. I have to have some of the plastic from the cartridge in there, otherwise it's not thick enough to press on the contacts. Let's go. Yeah. Hey, that looks kind of like Windows. Let's get more naked. I gotta take one of these controllers apart, don't I? Well, I've got so many screws around the place, I'm gonna struggle to remember where everything goes. I have tried to lay it out all in sort of the orientations where they came from, so hopefuls. I feel like this should slide off. Oh, all right. It came off in a hurry. I don't like damaging labels. This thing just got really light, by the way. Most of the weight is in this handle. Things I do for my viewers. Peeling the label on a potentially rare Irish Zavix tennis racket. Will it open? I bet there's freaking more underneath this pink thing. Yep. There is a screw. Hope that's all. I hope that is all. Why? Why? Barely moving anymore at all. What? Is there going to be something? No, surely not under this white. I hate every bit of this. Oh, wow. All right. I got it. And there are screws behind it. Wow. What a pain. Is this the motion sensor? If this is a motion sensor, wow. Okay, so this is a piezoelectric speaker, basically. The way piezoelectric material works is that if you put an electric current through it, it distorts. So you can use it as a speaker. But it also works the opposite way, where if you distort it, it creates a tiny little bit of electricity. So you can use it as a microphone, or you can use it as a kind of impact sensor. No sound came out of that, so it's not a speaker. Otherwise they'd have holes there so you can hear it. I'm feeling like they're using that to measure the flex in the handle as you swing it, which is kind of genius, but also no wonder you have to flick it so hard. Let's get this other board out and we'll see what this is. Oh, look at this actually. This wire is crimped between the housings from the factory. This thing's built like crap. I'm feeling like we're not going to find a whole bunch of stuff under here. Oh, okay, so there's a decent amount of stuff. There's another blob chip in there doing most of the work. Transistor here, I'm not sure what it's doing, but I could guess that it's switching the LEDs on and off. And yeah, there's no other sensor. It's using this piezoelectric sensor to detect the movement. And that means it cannot tell where you are or which way you're swinging it or anything, only that you have swung it and maybe how hard you've swung it. Let's see if we can play this with a disassembled racket. Yeah, look at that. It's basically a microphone. Hit, hit. That actually works. Hit. Hit. Oh. Hit. I just want to hit one back by yelling hit. Hit. Yes, I finally hit one back. Knowing that this has no position sensing or anything, how do you even win? So I can just tap it to hit back too. Ah. So it's all in timing. It's all timing. This is a terrible sensor for motion control. It's barely motion control. It's maybe one step up from the little spring with a weight on it that moves when you swing it that the Famiclones get. As a game console, this thing relied heavily on gimmicks. It had absolutely no chance of taking on PS2, Xbox, or GameCube. Graphically, it was way behind. And when the Wii came out in 2006, that would have put a real big dent in the sales for this guy. The Wii was packaged with Wii Sports, so it included most of the games that you had to buy separately for this thing, as well as having mainstream games as well. I do find it interesting that they kept trying in Europe. I mean, the Wii launch was in 2006 and the Irish Zavix launch was in 2007. So at that point, they must really just have been relying on this being cheaper. But it plays like it's cheaper. I mean, I can't completely judge because I've only got the one game and each game does have its own hardware. But at the same time, they're all made by the same company and Tennis seems to be the most popular one, so they're probably all fairly average. I absolutely love it though, because they tried something completely out of the ordinary. This cartridge system alone, I love it. This is my new favorite cartridge slot of any cartridge slot. Not that I think I really had a favorite cartridge slot before, but this is now my favorite cartridge slot. It's just so much fun. All right, so I collect heaps of game consoles, and if you were following me on Floatplane, you would already know that I got this because I posted a photo of it last week. I post a photo of every single video game related thing that I get, and you can follow me there for just $1 a month. The link's in the description. I'll see you there.